Hi guys, welcome to the channel. Today I'm sharing a topic on whether I use business credit cards for my rentals in my 40s. And the answer to this is, this was a question that came up in one of the forums in my rental community, one rental at a time, and I thought I'd share my thoughts around this. So the answer is yes, I do. I do use business credit cards for my rentals in midlife. And are they worth having? Absolutely, astoundingly, yes. I believe that they are worth having. So I use the Chase Inc. business credit cards. There are two of them, and I use both of them with no annual fees. So there's the Chase Inc. Business Inc. Unlimited and the Chase Business Inc. Cash. So I mentioned I have both of them for my rental business, and they're both annual fee cards, meaning I don't need to pay an annual fee to hold them. So the question is, why do I use business credit cards? The first reason is because there's clear and distinct separation of personal and business finances. I don't want to use my personal credit card when there are business expenses for my rental business. I want there to be very clear separation of expenses between my personal and my business finances. The second reason is easier bookkeeping. It's easier to just go into Chase, go into the credit card statements and transactions, and that's what I use basically for bookkeeping. It just makes it a lot easier for me to have that separate credit card and then use those transactions for bookkeeping as well. Another reason is because I personally have found that it's just easier to pay by credit card for things like, insurance, the pest control, or even like HVAC repairs. A lot of the contractors accept credit cards, and I've found that it's just easier to pay by credit card rather than by sending checks or Venmo or, doing Zelle. I just make sure that they don't charge additional fees. So for example, property taxes, I think there's a 5% fee or 3% fee if I use credit cards. So I send checks for property taxes, but for insurance, let's say for example, then they accept credit cards and there's no additional fee. I just pay them using credit cards. The fourth reason is, I think, very important, and I just learned this recently, that I can dispute charges if there's a problem if I use a credit card. So for example, like if there are quality issues, if a contractor does some work, it's just a lot easier to dispute it if I'm using a credit card rather than sending them a check. Like it's harder to recoup that money. And then the last thing that I want to mention with business credit cards is that it's really important to pay them off in full every month, because interest rate charges on credit cards are really high, somewhere between 20 to 30%. So it's really important to pay them off when they're due, pay them off in full, and not incur any charges, any interest rate fees, late fees, things of that nature, because those really cost more than even the points that you would earn on the credit card. So the next part of this is what kind of credit cards I use. I mentioned that I use the Chase business credit cards. Why do I use Chase? The first is, I mentioned, like, I can dispute charges from contractors if there are quality issues and they refuse to fix those issues. I've had quality issues with some contractors, and I've been fortunate that they just go ahead and fix the issues when I point out the issues. They've been pretty good contractors to work with, where they go ahead and even if I've paid already, they don't run away from me. They go ahead and fix the issues. But just in case I run into a contractor who, I don't know, like runs away with the payment and there are issues and they refuse to fix the issues, even if it's still within the warranty period, then it's easier to dispute if I'm using a credit card. And with Chase, I've had really good customer experience. Whenever I have issues, I want to dispute anything, they're pretty good. So I just feel like they're a good credit card to use for my business. Chase credit cards, there are also 2 that don't have an annual fee. And that's the reason why I like Chase, because there's no annual fee. There are other credit cards that don't have annual fees for the business. I don't really have like a super huge spend. I don't feel the need to really get credit cards that have annual fees. So there are other options, not just Chase. It's just that I'm kind of used to the Chase ecosystem and I'm familiar with the customer service, and they have 2 cards, business cards that don't have annual fees. So I like them. As of right now, I really like the Chase business credit cards. Another reason I use Chase is because their business credit cards, they earn points. There's the Chase Inc. Unlimited, which earns 1.5x points on every dollar spent. And then there's the Chase Business Cash, which earns 5x points on office supplies. So I have them both, and I just switch wherever I get more points from, from each of those cards. And then the other benefit of using Chase is that the points that I earn can be used either for cash back, and I've used them for that. Like I just use the points to pay for the credit card statement when I've accumulated enough points, or I can also transfer them to the Chase Sapphire card. I have the Chase Sapphire Preferred. That's my personal credit card. So I can transfer the points from my business card to my personal card, and I can redeem them for travel for more. I can redeem them. I can transfer them to hotels and have free stays at Hyatt hotels, or I can transfer them to United or Southwest, and I only need to pay taxes for my local flights. So those are the reasons why I like Chase for my business credit card. There are links to the cards that I used below if anybody is interested for the business cards, and I'll leave a link as well if you're interested in the personal card where I transfer the points to get higher value for them. So thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.